Gananāಂ tva ganapatigun havamahe kavim kavīnāmupamashravastamam Jyeshtarajam brahmanam brahmanaspata anashrinvannotibhisseedasadanam Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhirvajinivati Dhīnāma Vidryavatu Vāgdevyai Namaha
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so now we are again back. So before we go on further, the fifth sutra, I want you to just little bit explain to me what you studied in the first four sutras very briefly, so that we see. The first sutra was what? Atha Yoga Anushasanam. What was it about? So in the first sutra, Patanjali is describing if you're embarking on the journey of learning yoga, what it entails, right? And what it entails is being clear about four things. One is the end, right? Then the means, preparation, and the application. Because anything that you start, you need to be clear about what you are doing and why you are doing what you are doing. Most of the time, see, we get into conflicts between, oh, should I follow yoga, should I follow Vedanta, should I follow Buddhism, should I follow, there are so many things around, right? And you always feel where you are there, you feel like going here. When you are here, you feel like going here. When this person is talking, you think about that person. What happens is, unfortunately, the mind is not able to, come to any progress about anything because we haven't thought about what is it that, see, that job is yours. You need to figure out what exactly you're looking for and what is the mean. If you have not done that little homework, you go from one place to the other, and then what? You only keep on getting more and more confused. So this is where Patanjali, any brilliant person, even Shankaracharya's commentaries begin with these kind of things. I'm teaching this, and this is what is going to be covered, and why is it important? That you need to know. So that's good. Okay, next sutra. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Everybody is smiling. Okay. What does it mean?
Managing the mind.
Excellent.
Prepare it to remove ignorance.
Excellent. Right. So that means the mind has many different vrittis, many different thoughts, right? Vritti, chitta vritti. So vritti is the thoughts which are in the mind, and restraining means that you need to distinguish between the thoughts which are useful for you and thoughts which are not so useful for you. And once you have clarity about that, then you know, okay, which thoughts to cultivate and which thoughts to try to manage. Wonderful. So that is what chitta vritti, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. If you do that, what is the outcome? Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthana. Suppose you are able to manage your mind intelligently and cultivate proper thoughts which are helping you in your progress and stay away from thoughts which are keeping you in a confused state. What is the outcome is what? Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthana. What is it? What is it talking?
Then the real nature of the self is established.
Excellent. So you are established in the real nature of self, right? As an outcome of managing your mind intelligently, right?
Not reached, not established.
Superb. So why did we use this? And exactly. Very good. See, these are the words. So just Ole was telling me one word and how you understand that word will change what you see as the end. How you would dedicate, what do you dedicate your life to? So that means that it's really important to actually understand those words. And not only that, you need to think for yourself, is this explanation making sense to me or not? Otherwise what will happen is your whole mind is this one is saying this one is saying this one is saying that. What are you thinking? Critical, discerning, right? What seems reasonable to you? Until you ask that question, you keep going from one place to the other. So therefore, this is why you need to cultivate thoughts which are what? Helping you. Very, very important. Right? Making your discerning capacity stronger. Right? Making your clarity more. That is what you need to invest in. Right? So this is what it says. That if you do that, then avasthanam. Avasthanam is not reaching, but it is what? You're well established in your knowledge. So in that, what is the vision? Who are you? So why do you need to be well established in your true nature? Because we live with a certain amount of misunderstanding about what our true nature is. And we load our true nature with a long list of things that people mentioned, and the whole life goes in freeing yourself from all these different things. But the vision is the swarupa of your Atma is what? Already free from it. Yes, wonderful. So that means that requires a certain inquiry, and we saw the inquiry of how it is so. And what is the method we used? Little bit more technical. What are the two methods that we use to arrive at our true nature? Two methods we used.
Anvaya
Huh?
Vyatireka.
Excellent. Anvaya Vyatireka. See, I want you to have some rigor in what we are saying and why we are saying it. Excellent. Anvaya Vyatireka was one of the prakriyas that we used to make you see how it is so. Right? What is this Anvaya Vyatireka Prakriya? Prakriya means methodology, and Anvaya Vyatireka has a name. And how does it go, Shantala? Do you have an idea as to how?
Well, if you look at, I am sad and I am healthy, I'm not healthy, all of those things, it's dependent on awareness to be there. But for awareness to be, it doesn't need the I am sad, I am healthy, etc. So it's.
You guys should learn Vedic chanting, because I think Vedic chanting gives a certain clarity. It's good. I think she's able to really explain the crux in 2 sentences, and it's perfect. It's really nice. Really, it's very precise, it's very exact, and it is without any confusion. It's wonderful. I always have been this is by the way, in fact, I'm a great admirer of Vedic chants, because I have learned chanting, and I've seen what difference it makes to the brain. It is just incredible. So, I'm not prescribing, but I'm just saying that it's right. Exactly. So that means for you to recognize your thoughts, you need awareness. Why? Suppose, right? If I'm asking you, what is the thought do you have now, Sita Devi, you will know that which thought is right now present if there is the presence of awareness. Then after 2 minutes I ask you, what is your thought now?
Another one.
Another one. So that means there is something which enables you, something in you which enables you to recognize different thoughts which are coming and going. Right? Now, so that means to recognize thoughts, as Shantala says, you need awareness. Does awareness need thoughts for it to be? No. That is called Anvaya Vyatireka. Thoughts cannot be recognized without the presence of awareness. Awareness doesn't need the thoughts for it to be. So there is one thing which is non-changing and constant. The other thing comes and goes. Logic. That was the first prakriya that we used. What is the second prakriya that we used? Excellent. See, I'm so happy that people are really smart, sharp and alert. For a teacher, there is no better reward than this. Excellent. Subject and object, that is what we call in Sanskrit, what we say, what we say, drashta and drishya viveka. Drik, drishya viveka. Yeah, that is how, that is
But
the
to
real
go
name.
along with this Yoga Sutra,
Exactly.
you said drashta, the seer,
and drishya viveka, right? So that means who is the seer, and because of which everything which is seen is so that is what we, and when we used that methodology, very good. When we used that methodology, what happened is, what Surya is saying is that I have to show you something little bit. He said you didn't do it. Okay? When we use this methodology of Drik Drishya Viveka, what is Drishta and what is Drishya, what happened is this body and mind, which was taken to be initially the subject, as a result of using this methodology, where did it move to? It moved to the object, right? So this is the purpose of using the methodology. We are not just doing things for no reason, right? We are using these methodologies to make you see the nature of the error and make you shift from this being your subject to this being the subject and this being the object. Do you understand that? So therefore, this is what we call Drik Drishya Viveka. We use two methodologies to make you see how you are already this. Okay.
One more question on the Sanskrit word.
Yes.
Subject is the drashtu.
The subject is actually the subject in the nominative case is called drashta. Drashta.
And the object?
Drishya. Okay. Now, the next sutra is Vritti Sarupyam Itaratra. What is this sutra say?
That until we arrive at the truth, yoga, that we believe that the object is I.
Excellent. So until we arrive at this truth of what avasthanam, we are totally clear about what is our nature and what is the nature of the object. It's not enough that I just show you on one chart one day and then you get it. This confusion between the subject and object continues until there is clarity. So we saw there are two types of confusion in both directions. Suppose I'm showing you that this Atma, look at this, is non-changing. Atma is non-changing. You want to make your mind non-changing. Not possible. This is what we call that exactly. Non-changing mind means thoughtless mind, which doesn't change. The thoughts don't come and go. So what is the nature of Atma you want to recreate here? Do you understand? What is said to be Atma, which is I'm free, you want to always feel free. When Atma is said to be without any limitation, you always want to feel limitless. Do you understand? So that even after teaching, the confusion what continues, right? Whatever is explained as the nature of Atma, you want to recreate at the level of mind. Do you understand? You have to understand. I'm so happy when you smile and you say, yeah, okay, I understand. There is no bigger pleasure for a teacher. Really. You make my day. Okay. So that means what? And the other way. The other way is, suppose the mind, as I said, right? You're crossing the road, there is a car coming which is very fast, which you did not see. It creates a fear in you. You said, oh my God, I have not understood myself to be free because I still have fear. Yes? So that means the changing conditions of the mind are still imputed onto Atma. Both ways. The confusion continues. Right? And this is why it is it takes a lot of time and effort, because it's amazing. We have been living with this confusion for a longest time. So even if you here understand, you go out there, a situation arises, you come back to your previous mode of thinking. That's why it's difficult. Right? So that means this thing continues till the knowledge takes place. So therefore, now you come to the third thing, and that is what this implies is, for knowledge to take place, you need preparation of the mind, because mind keeps getting confused. Even if it's trying to listen and trying to understand, there is no clarity. So it means then that the mind requires preparation. Yeah? Now next sutra. The next sutra is Vrittayaha Panchatayaha Klishtaha Klishta Aklishta. One is Klishta and the other one is, they are joined together through Sandhi rule, but what I am going to do is separate them, and that's exactly what Shantala did when she chanted. She separated first time, then she read it all together. So therefore, Klishta and Aklishta. Okay, so he talks now about how to prepare the mind, and what he says is very interesting. Vrittayaha is what? Vritti, the thoughts that come through the mind. They are of 5 types. Things which afflict you, give you pain, or they don't help you in knowing your true nature. What is they hindered your progress in knowing your true nature. And the thoughts which are aklishtaha. Aklishtaha is what? The thoughts which help you in knowing your true nature. Now, the tricky thing is, see, these are the great scholars, they are great minds. So, you may think that there will be what? The list of klishta, and the list will be what? Aklishta. What is the klishta? That which will afflict you, which will hinder your progress, and aklishta is what? That which will help you in knowing your true nature, right? So you expect what? 2 separate lists, right? This is a genius, right? So he has one list, and he shows that the very thing which can be klishta can become aklishta. Brilliant. So that means he gives 5 things. The 5 things which are mentioned at some other point of the text, where in Patanjali commentaries show, the first is what we call pramana. These panchatayaha, these 5 types, he's now describing. What are these 5 types? Pramana, then viparyaya. So, what is the meaning of pramana? Knowledge. English meaning of this is knowledge. Viparyaya. Here it means, Shantala, your job is to put it in transliteration. Okay? Viparyaya means error. Vikalpa. Oh. Vikalpa means what? Imagination. Oh, he has his whole chart with him now. Narayana. He has the whole chart with you. Okay, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Imagination. Then you have nidra. Yes, sleep. And then you have what? Smriti. Memory. Okay? So now he has to say what? Vrittayaha. There are 5 different types of thoughts, and then he says there is of 2 types, klishta and aklishta. Now, if you did not know what was to come, where will you put pramana knowledge? Klishta or aklishta? Aklishta. Right? So we'll put up, because it will help you. Right? What about error? Klishta. So we'll put ka. Are you following it? He's saying klishta means that which afflict you and hinder your progress, and aklishta is what? That which help you in progress. So and he describes these 5. It's written by him, right? Pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra and smriti. What does pramana mean? Knowledge. Viparyaya means error. Vikalpa means imagination. Nidra means sleep. And smriti means memory. So if I were just to ask you which one will you put where, klishta or aklishta, then we will figure out what he's saying, right? So pramana, knowledge is which one? Is it afflicting or is it helping you in your progress? Helping. So that means it's aklishta, right? Now, viparyaya, error, klishta, wonderful. Vikalpa, imagination.
Depends on the imagination.
So now, who is saying klishta? Who is saying aklishta?
I say both.
Klishta.
Cliff, which one?
Klishta, because it's another translation is fancy.
Tricky.
Fancy is tricky.
Klishta.
Klishta. I agree.
What, klishta or aklishta? Klishta. Okay. Nidra.
Very nice.
Huh? Aklishta.
I say klishta.
Okay. Klishta, aklishta, and vikalp. Imagination also, there are some people who say it is aklishta. You say aklishta. So some people say it's klishta, some people say it's aklishta. Smriti. Krishna and Aklishta. Okay. Aklishta and Krishna.
And also, the knowledge could be wrong knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Also-
is smart.
And error could also be sometimes helpful.
Very good. You got it all. So that means
All that.
superb. Everything superb. Superb. And that's exactly what he's saying. Right? Very thing which is klishta can become aklishta, and aklishta can become klishta. Brilliant. Yes. I'm okay. I'm going to explain. Then my job is first you have to get the inputs from you. Now the next step is I have to explain. You have something to say?
No.
Okay. So now I have to explain to you why each one can be anything, right? So that means this pramana. Now, how technical you want me to get? Very average, easy. I have 3 levels.
Spicy.
Okay. So the first thing that you need to ask yourself, what is the method through which you gain knowledge? Suppose you know so many things, right? Up to now you've all studied, you've all known so many things. What is the method through which you gain knowledge? What are the, yes?
Listening to somebody. Listening to people.
Okay, listening to teaching, yes, it's true, but I could be saying all rubbish, and listening will not necessarily give you knowledge.
Experiencing something.
Experiencing something also, sometimes experience will give you proper understanding, sometimes experience will totally, these are not pramanas. This is why before we move, we need to define what pramana is. Listening seems like pramana, experiences seem like pramana.
Directly experiencing.
So that
That's
means
what I
what?
Really like being there and experiencing it.
Technically.
Yeah.
How do you experience? What are the means through which you experience? Tell me. Yes, Matthias.
Error. Because when you do wrong things, you have a deep experience. And so you get on.
See, when so many people do deep errors, they don't necessarily learn from it. See, these are things that we are in our experiences, but they are not technical enough because they are not strong enough. You understand that? Just listening, anything I can listen to radio. You please understand our thinking has to become a little bit clearer, right? Then, I could be listening to rock music. It doesn't make me gain knowledge, right? So you can't say listening as such. You also can't say experiences because you experienced million things up to now, and that didn't make you wiser as such. In some cases, yes, but in some cases you still continue your errors. As we saw in Mahabharata. Who was there for Mahabharata? And you keep repeating the errors.
Understanding through thinking.
Okay, that's
Proof?
correct.
Proof?
Okay.
I would say the 5 parts of the Antakarana, using the 5 elements of the Antakarana, especially the buddhi, according and staying in contact with the other parts.
You're becoming little bit more precise. Very good. Holger, you had
I
some.
would say the perception, the sense of perception.
Superb. So that means when we are talking about pramana, you have to understand knowledge. See, you want depth. You have to be ready for it. Because otherwise, I can easily make you do something very easy. But now that you ask for it, I have to do this. Right? So, knowledge. Any knowledge that you gain, as Holger says, anything that you have gained till now is through this what we call the process of perception. What is anything that where is the data coming from? Suppose you see these beautiful flowers what do you need to use to see these flowers?
Eyes.
Eyes. So that is what we call perception, right? Suppose there is a sound, Surya makes you see, hear the sound, very deep, very background sounds in the meditation. What are you using? Ears, right? So this is what we call sense perception, which provides the data for knowledge. If you want to see the forms, you need to use your eyes. If you want to hear the sounds, you need to use your ears. If you want to taste something, you have to use your tongue. It's not interchangeable. What it means is, suppose I want to taste how Thai curry is, I can't use my ears for it. Do you understand? Or I can't use my eyes just by looking, maybe, but it won't give me the right taste until I taste it. So this is what we call sense perception. In Sanskrit, we call it pratyaksha pramana. Pratyaksha. Indriya pratyaksha. Indriya pratyaksha. Now, in addition to that, Sahajo said that we also, what did you say you use?
Understanding.
Understanding. Okay. So that means everything that we see, suppose when I use my eyes, it seems as though the earth is flat. Right? When I open my eyes, it seems to me that the earth is flat, but a human being is able to correct that perceptive, the data which is provided by perception and come to the right knowledge. And what is that right knowledge? That the earth is globe. How? Without going outside, right, the earth and looking at the earth, the person who was standing on the earth could figure out that the earth is actually not flat and it is round. What is the method he used?
Inference.
Inference. Excellent. So that means this is what we call anumana. Inference. Do you understand? This is perception and this is inference. And inference requires logic. You can't just see and then decide. So therefore, it requires a little bit of understanding and reconciling. And sometimes it's one-step logic, sometimes it is multiple-step logic that we use, which gives us information about something which is not available for our perception. Right? So these are what we call technically means of knowledge. Okay? Now, what you need to know is two things. One is, because inference requires some logical progression in thinking, sometimes our inference can be right, sometimes it can be wrong. Why? Because if you use a faulty method of logic, you will arrive at a wrong conclusion. Simple example. Very simple example. I don't want to go too much into detail because otherwise I'll be sitting and talking for next 1 year. So I have to be careful. So suppose you see somebody crying, tears, right, in the eyes. Your inference, what is your perception is what? You are looking at the tears, and what is the inference? That you are sad. Who said you are sad? Yeah. The inference is you are sad. The perception is what? Tears are coming out, and the inference is what? That you are sad. Is it going to be a right inference always? No. Why? Because the tears can come from happiness also. Sometimes you're really happy, and so this is where the anumana, when you make something, when you make conclusions, you have to be careful that the logic that you use is accurate. Otherwise, the logic will not give you, if it is an inappropriate there are too many technical things. I don't want to get into it because I'll then go on. Okay? So the inference, what you do need to do is ensure that the logic is appropriate. Okay? So this is how.
Also, the inference must be correct, because if your eyes can't really see good, you have different perception.
Yeah. So that
That's
means,
available.
yeah. So this is why you have to correct. You need perception which is accurate, and the logic also has to be accurate in order for this anumana to work. True. Right? Your data collection is wrong in the first place, and you make an inference on that. That also is going to be inaccurate. Absolutely correct. So therefore, in order for you to know things in this world, these are the two methods that we use. Pratyaksha pramana and anumana is called paroksha. Why is it paroksha? This gives you direct knowledge, and this gives you indirect knowledge. Because what you are seeing is the cry, what you are inferring is the person is sad, suppose, right? Or whatever. You are seeing the flat earth, and what you understand is the earth is actually not flat. That is indirect knowledge. But it's a valid knowledge because the method that is used, the logic that is used is correct. Correct? Okay? Yeah. So now, these are the two methods that we use in our normal case to know about everything in this world. Starting from, seeing and smelling and tasting to how old is the universe, what is this cyanobacteria that existed on this earth million years ago, what are dinosaurs, anything, black hole, anything that we think about in our normal, what we study is the method is getting the data from perception and using inference in order to come up with the most advanced knowledge that we have arrived at. Okay? Now, we have to understand, is this method adequate to know the nature of I, self, the non-changing self that you all figured out. Non-changing awareness. Can you use, if this non-changing awareness is going to pop up in front of you? No, everybody is saying no. Why would it not pop up in front of you? Deep in meditation it will pop up in front of you.
And it would be an object.
Exactly. Please understand that. If it pops up in front of you, it is within time and space. It was not popping up before, and now it is popping up. So that means what? It is changing, and it is what? Experience, and it is, any experience is within time and space. And it is limited. Because why is it limited? Because it was not there before. The very fact that it was not there before and it started at a given time means it's limited to time. Use logic, please. Please. Right? So therefore, anything that starts in time is limited in time. So therefore, this non-changing awareness can never be experienced as an object. And because it is not available for perception, much less it is available for inference. Because every inference gets its data from where? Senses. So that means it gets its data for perception. So that means this, which is a common method that we have, in order to know anything in this world, is not adequate for you to know your nature. Because by definition, it is drashta. So what? Now bring back. It is the seer. It never becomes drishya. It doesn't become the object of your seeing. So therefore, you need another pramana to gain this knowledge. So that means as I told you yesterday, all these schools that I talked about, whether it is Vaisheshika, it is Nayayika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsaka, Uttar Mimamsaka, they all say one thing, they are all Vaidikas. Vaidikas means they say this knowledge of non-changing awareness comes from not our normal method, but it comes from the Vedas. The Veda, Agama. It is said Agama? Yes. It comes from the Vedas, and they make you see that you need to use the words of the Vedas, which make you see that yourself is not actually something that you perceive. All the changes of the body are known to you, they are perceived by you. Changes in the mind are perceived by you. But actually the self is not something which is perceived, but is because of which all the perception takes place, and that Veda makes you see that this self is a non-changing awareness. Understand? Now, suppose Vedas, now how, like Tobias' question yesterday, then how do I know? You are declaring that, oh, through Veda you'll come to know the non-changing awareness. Why should I accept? Why should you accept that Vedas will tell you your non-changing nature? In order for Veda to be a valid pramana, it has to meet two conditions. What are the two conditions we saw yesterday? Does anybody remember?
Well, one is that you can't contradict it.
That is called abadhita. I don't know if it is rasva or dirgha. I'm not sure. Abadhita. Okay, abadhita, and if the first one was what? Excellent. Wow, I have brilliant students. My job is done. Great. This amount of retention is very good. I must compliment you all. I'm so pleased that you all are paying attention and really understanding things. Anadikata. What does anadikata mean?
That the scripture can show me a vision that I can't see myself.
Excellent. Anadikata is the first condition that the Vedas can show me about this non-changing awareness which is free, which I cannot arrive at through perception and inference. And why should I believe what Vedas say is, if this non-changing awareness was indeed the truth of myself, it is non-negated by logic. I don't have any logic in this world to contradict what it says. You can't just say, oh, I'm not believing you because I don't feel like. Hey, not feeling like is not a valid reason not to believe. Right? So therefore, you have no logic to contradict what it says. So that means this is the gamut of knowledge that we have. Now, what you need to understand here is, for the purpose of this understanding, this awareness, which is a non-changing reality, knowledge is klishta or aklishta. Come back to klishta and aklishta now. Now that I've explained to you what knowledge means.
But if we use it, for example, to understand the Bhagavad Gita, and we see there's like a dualistic or a non-dualistic interpretation, we use both criteria, both would be valid. Like for the dual or non-dual interpretation.
What?
This is my question. Because Shankaracharya, he was discussing with like Buddhists and all the scholars in his period, where he believed it. And of course, those people are also smart, and but they follow a different logic, for example. And so my question is, if we just use those two criteria in any Veda, for example, does it mean that we have to conclude in a non-dual perspective, or
So-
is it also possible to conclude in a dual?
Okay, so that comes to a very interesting. Now I have to go deeper and deeper because you guys are asking two good questions, but I'm highly constrained by time. Surya says you are a good teacher. The only thing you don't know what to do is how to manage time. Because when people ask me interesting questions, I can't but make you see certain other things. What I do want to show you is just one simple example, and then I will proceed, because otherwise what will happen is it's a little difficult. Now that people have made so much effort to give me flowers, let me use them. Is it coming out by any chance? Ah, great. Oh, super. Ah, wonderful. Okay. Now, suppose I ask you, right, what is the color of this rose? What would you say?
Yellow.
Yellow. Suppose Sita Devi says, no, but I see pink. Can we say, oh yeah, she's thinking like that, I'm thinking like this, let's all be right?
No.
No. Why not?
It's a fact. It's yellow.
So that means, listen carefully, the truth is not established by what you think. The truth is established by what? What it is. This particular fact about knowledge, we say it is Vastu Tantram. What is Vastu Tantram? That this yellowness and pinkness doesn't depend upon my fancies. It depends upon what is, which is centered on the rose and not what I think. So this particular aspect is called every knowledge is Vastu Tantram. Knowledge is, what is Vastu Tantram? Tell me. It is centered on?
The object.
Excellent. It's centered on what I want to understand. It is not centered on what I may or may not think. Right? In this case object,
Yes.
but in other case
Okay.
what I
Yes.
want to understand.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So okay. So that means now so that means now who is thinking right would depend upon not that, oh, I like him better, so let him be right, but Sita Devi, I don't care, so she's wrong. It's got nothing to do with my liking somebody or not liking somebody. It is to do with what? Who gets it right. Right? My personal preferences, my personal choices, they've got nothing to do with what this thing. So this is why you can't have, please understand, the world, you can't say what is only one thing or there are more than one thing and both are right. Either it is more than one thing or it is one thing. You can't say everybody is right. Right? Because it is Vastu Tantra. So what we are trying to do is try to find out what is. We are not trying to say, I'm saying this. The minute you begin to use your own interpretation, you can go wrong. And this is why Shantala, when she was chanting, beautiful, really beautiful, when she chanted this morning, she did Ganapati chant, then she did what? Saraswati chant. And in that chant, what she is saying is what? Hey, Saraswati Devi, the goddess of knowledge, who is clear, come and come and bless me so that my words are accurate. I'm not, when I stand here, I'm not trying to show off all that I know. Right? And that I'm invoking the grace of Goddess Saraswati, that what I speak has truth in it. Because the truth doesn't depend upon what I think. the truth is what truth is, my attempt is to get as close to the truth as possible. With this attitude, if you begin to learn anything, it will bless you. Otherwise, your own thinking will keep interfering and you will yourself block yourself. That humbleness, that is what we call, opening up yourself to this pramana. Otherwise, you deny yourself this knowledge. It's nothing about what you think or what I think. It is we are here to inquire about the truth. And this is why I said if you start with I'm Vedanta, you're yoga, we get nowhere. It's not Vedanta that I want to subscribe to. It's not yoga that I want to negate or to subscribe to. I'm not interested in schools. I'm interested in the truth. You have to tell yourself that. Then you're open to inquiry. Otherwise, you're caught in your own frameworks. And the minute you get caught in your own frameworks, you're unavailable to see what is. So this is why Vastu Tantram, right? It's nothing about me. When you start like that, wonderful. It's about what I want to understand, right? So now, this Vastu Tantram reality, that which I want to know, that means, what it means is, either Atma is non-changing awareness or Atma is what? This struggling human being that I think Atma is. Two possibilities. You can't say both are right. Right? So now, if what Veda is saying is valid, right, and somebody is not seeing the Veda accurately and somebody is seeing the Veda accurately, but here in this case, what we are trying to show is Patanjali is seeing exactly what we see. That's what the whole thing is about. Right? So therefore, now, this Vastu Tantram reality is what you know through Agama, Vedas. Now, this knowledge is Klishta or Aklishta. Now, I am giving you this category called knowledge. And I am asking you to see whether it is Klishta means what? Which will... No. Klishta is afflicted and Aklishta is non-afflicted. Yes? That this will free you from pain, this will create pain. This knowledge, which category will you put? Aklishta. Okay, wonderful. What Patanjali is saying is, if this knowledge capacity is there and in this lifetime you recognize that your pratyaksha and anumana is not going to give you knowledge of self and you use Veda, it becomes what? Aklishta. Because it will help you to know yourself. Do you understand that? So here it becomes what? Aklishta. No, this is, Aklishta. Understand? And suppose you have a brilliant mind, but that mind you use only, which itself is wonderful, but you only use for pratyaksha and anumana, and you're so arrogant that anything that I believe, I first have to see it. Then the same knowledge will become what? Klishta. Why would it become Klishta? Because there is an arrogance here. Because you are able to do it well, you don't want to open yourself to the truth. Do you understand? So that means if this knowledge is keeping you here and not taking you to your true nature, which is free, right? This same knowledge becomes what? Klishta. Do you get the idea? We are not saying, please understand, don't then say this is useless. I'm not saying this is useless. Don't create your own meanings. I'm not saying that. I'm saying how was klishta and aklishta defined? Go back to definitions. Then you'll have precision in your thinking. Klishta was defined as not bad. It was said it will not help you to get to know your true nature. And aklishta is what? That which helps you to get to know your true nature. We are not, don't reconvert the category into good, bad, positive, negative. That's not what it is talked about. Yeah?
Just for my clarification, but still it's a combination of all three to
Superb.
get to
Excellent. Yes.
because I can
Yes.
I turn
Superb.
to
Excellent. Okay. Excellent. What she's saying is wonderful. Even if I'm using agama, right? Am I not using perception? All these funny stories that I tell, right? Which is all about experiences in life. It is all based on pratyaksha, right? And I'm also using so much anumana to make you so much logic to make you see certain things. So what she's saying is, actually, even when you use agama, you are using pratyaksha and anumana. Is that what you're saying?
yeah.
Yeah. So absolutely right. And therefore, when you use agama and this is also accompanying it, it becomes aklishta. It becomes klishta only when you restrict yourself to this and don't include this. You understand? Because then you're caught in this framework, what you can see and only what you can infer. And if you restrict your knowledge to this, you will never get to understand this. But you're right. For this, you need to use these two. Very good.
It's supporting.
It's supporting. Absolutely. And this is why, actually, you need to have a clear, logical thinking mind. Even to understand agama, you can't put your thinking aside. Right? So that means you need to follow what agama has to say. Right? So, yes. Anything?
I also want to clarify, by Veda you mean the wisdom or you mean
The text. I mean, here agama technically means text. Now here also, what you need to understand is, we are not claiming that Veda is saying, what we are saying is, these words, right, produce knowledge. Then you tell me, this X word which is existing in some other culture, does it produce knowledge or not? I don't know. I haven't studied that. Right? So I'm not saying there is no other word which will produce knowledge. I'm saying these words are capable of what? Producing knowledge. Do you understand the difference? Then if you feel that some other culture in some other context is saying the same thing, I don't know. I'm not qualified because I haven't studied those words and I have not seen what they are capable or what they are not capable of doing. Right?
When you say Veda, then you especially mean the Upanishad.
Yes, wonderful. So Agama Shastra,
Yeah.
you're right, absolutely. So Upanishads, yeah, Upanishads are the ones which actually reveal this reality. So yes, Agama here in this case. But
not
not
the rituals and
the Purva Mimamsika will not agree with this. This is why you have to be very careful, no? So according to, that's why I had to show you the background and I have to show you that all of them are looking into the Vedas, but they don't all agree on the same thing, right? The Purva Mimamsaka will say, hey, the whole Veda is mostly all the rituals and prayers, so they are giving, why are you giving more importance to Upanishad, right?
What were the two reasons for following Agama again?
What are the two reasons? Abadita and Anadigata. Can somebody explain to Dara what are the two reasons for following Vedas, for knowing the nature of Atma and nature of yourself to be this free, which is awareness and non-changing awareness? Why do you necessarily need to use Vedas for that? Yeah, Tobia.
Because I would say it's like a collective tool, like it's created not by human beings, and it's beyond my capacity. Because if I try to figure it out myself, I'm only using my mind, and my mind is not like the proper tool for solving the problem. So basically, and then you have two reasons. One is it can be contradicted. So if you try to find any logical like error within, you won't find it. Let's say, and if you find it, then it wouldn't fit the criteria.
Excellent.
This is the first one, and the second one is.
Yeah, in fact, you've explained both to me. The first one you said, when you said that this knowledge, if you use your perception and inference, you cannot arrive at this knowledge, that refers to anadigata. And when you said it cannot be contradicted, you refer to abadita. So you've explained both. Yeah? Okay. So now we saw that knowledge itself can be klishta or aklishta. Now, klishta doesn't mean it's bad. Please don't think this knowledge is bad. That's not what we are saying. If you want to know this, the end is for your freedom, this will not be useful. Do you understand? Give correct meanings. Otherwise, you will be, this material knowledge is useless. Please don't become this kind of a pseudo-spiritual person. It doesn't help anybody.
So it's like tools. What do you need for a job?
Exactly. It's just like tools, right? What is it which is going to give you what the end is freedom?
Yeah.
This will not give you that. Doesn't mean this is bad.
No.
I'm not giving a value judgment to this. This is what I see again and again and again. Oh, this is all material knowledge. Hey, what is material knowledge? This is all useful, as she said, that even for this you need this. Okay. Now, what is the second category? Knowledge, then. Now, you guys asked me too many questions and I had to. Knowledge is klishta and aklishta both. Did you understand? Klishta and aklishta. Error. First, define error. What is error? Before we even decide whether it is klishta or aklishta, you need to know what you're talking about. What does error mean?
I think it's the opposite of knowledge.
Excellent. So that
Right
means
knowledge,
superb.
right knowledge.
Excellent. So that means when if Tobias says this is yellow, it is knowledge. If somebody else says this is pink, that pink becomes what? Error. Right? Why is it error? Not because we don't like her, but because this is not what exactly. This is not. That's the only reason. That's why when we are talking about the truth, we are not getting personal. We are not fighting personally. It's you are right or I am right, or this school is right or that school is right. We are trying to establish what is right. Right? And if it is right, there is no logic to contradict it. Understand? Yeah. Now, so that means if this yellow is what? Not if you don't see it as yellow and you see it as pink, it becomes error. So that means now this error is it when you want to know your true nature, which is free, and what you don't see it. Is it knowledge or is it error? If your self is free and you see it as all the long list that you gave me, is it a knowledge or error? Error. Good. So if you stay with your own thinking, is it klishta or aklishta? Klishta. Why is it klishta? Because you load your whole eye with some hundreds of lists that you gave me, right? And you want freedom, retaining this list, and you want to stay within this list, then what will it help you to discover that you are free? No. That's why it is klishta. It will obstruct, it will hinder your way to know your true nature. Now, why is it aklishta? Also, it can be aklishta. Superb. In fact, the way the world is designed, it's a very interesting design, that the minute you stay with your klishta, which is an error, it will give you suffering. Otherwise, what is the incentive to go out of your error? There is no incentive for you to get out of error. In fact, the world is a very benevolent place. if you have parked yourself in the position of error, it will give you what? Suffering. Nobody likes suffering. So what will happen is what? You'll try to get out of that suffering and you will search for an answer.
We use it in teaching a lot because it's very powerful.
Yes.
If you create the question,
Yes.
the problem, for example, what is the root or the cause for suffering?
Yes.
For example,
Yes.
and then you try to figure out the solution, and then in the end it leads to okay, my perception or my idea about it is wrong. So this is like the fastest way you can help somebody to find like the truth, let's say, or to discover, to learn.
Very good. So in fact somebody figured it out, right? The error, was it Narayana who said that the error itself will when you recognize its error, it will impel you to look for the truth. That's why the error brings suffering. Nobody likes suffering. That itself will enable you to search for knowledge. So therefore, it can become what? Aklishta. It can help you in what? Going towards your freedom. Do you understand that? Now, what about vikalpa, imagination? Klishta, aklishta. Both. So, can you give me an example when it is klishta and when it is aklishta?
Aklishta will help me if I can imagine that there is a goal to reach, even if I don't see it at the moment, but I can feel there must be, I can't grab it, but I feel something there is an end. So that helps me to reach my goal. If I have a wrong imagination that the goal is somewhere in Ibiza or something, then it's not the right imagination.
Super. So that means, see, imagination as such. So what he's trying to explain is, see, we all think in a box. We are used to only pratyaksha and anumana, and that makes us stay within a certain paradigm, right? So now, if somebody is trying to show you something totally different, right, then what happens is, if you cannot so-called imagine it, then what will happen is you will resist and you will stay within your paradigm. I want to give you an example, which is a nice example, and that is of a frog in a well. So a frog in a well, for the frog, the whole universe is defined by the well, because that's all what the frog knows. Suppose he wants to search for the meaning of life. So somebody, a wise person comes, a wise frog comes and says, hey, you want to see the meaning of life? Okay, now I'm going to take you out and I have to show you that this world that you imagine is the world is just one little tiny fraction of the real world, which is a much bigger world. Now the frog is taken out. The minute the frog is taken out, the frog is frightened because, hey, that is too much for me. I want only my answer within the well. Lack of imagination, as he explained. That means the ability to think out of the box. You want to use the framework that you're familiar with, and within that you're searching for the truth. Whereas actually the truth requires a paradigm shift, which you are not able to do because of lack of imagination. Your own thinking keeps you restricted. As a small individual, I want to remain a small individual, but I want to find freedom. Impossible. This is all we keep trying to do.
But still, I don't really understand the word imagination
Okay.
in that context, because imagination, to have an imagination is not the same as knowing something. So
Okay, superb.
So I'm thinking about higher intuition and lower intuition.
Okay.
Intuition from.
Wonderful. I'm
I'm
going to explain it a little bit better, but I was just trying to explain what he's trying to say. Was I accurate in
Yes.
reiterating what
Yes.
you were trying to say?
Yes.
Okay. So what he was thinking is like the way he used the word imagination is like ability to think out of the box. If you want one word answer to what he was saying is ability to think out of the box. But when this imagination is talked as aklishta, there is a slight different meaning. Right? And what is that meaning? The meaning is something which is very powerful, which the Vedas use all the time to make us see certain reality. And that particular practice that Veda talks about is what we call upasana. What is upasana? Upasana is what a deliberate practice where on a small thing you see something big. Right now, I'm going to explain what it is. Shivalinga. Right? Actually, in reality, what is it? In reality, if you just use your perception, what is it? A stone. Right? So that means it is only a stone. On this, you imagine who? Tell me. This stone stands for what? Shiva. So that means, is this stone Shiva? This is what we call imagination. You see that? That is deliberate superimposition. Why would I want to superimpose something so exalted like Shiva on a simple stone? Why would I want to imagine something so big on something so small? Tell me.
Because this is the only way I can get an idea of what is Shiva.
Superb. So that means this is a representation, right? This is a representation, and otherwise I may not understand what is Shiva. You know, there is this, according to the Vedic vision, Ishvara means this intelligence, right? Which itself creates all these forms, but itself is free from all the forms. Because if it was one form, it can't be the other form. In order for it to be all the forms, itself has to be free from all the forms. So this is a representation that something can contain all the forms, but itself is what? Free from any given form. So this is what we call a deliberate imagination. It helps us to understand a complex idea. Understand? That particular practice in Vedas is called upasana. So therefore, it's not exactly what he means, but your point was good. Here, imagination is what we call the deliberate attempt to, that's how we have all these images, right? See, the idea of Vedic Ishvara is what? It's everywhere. But why do you always have all these temples and all these figures and all these different Ganesha and Shiva and all that? Right? If you start believing that this is God, it's not, right? It's just a piece of some metal. But on this, you deliberately superimpose. It facilitates what your understanding. So this is why, in this case, imagination becomes what? When you do that, imagination becomes klishta or aklishta? Aklishta. Now, if you begin to imagine something totally different, and if you begin to imagine that, hey, Shiva is only here and not anywhere else, it becomes klishta or aklishta? Klishta. You understand? The very thing, if you use it intelligently as a representation to understand a much bigger idea, it is what? Aklishta. If you get stuck there is in South India, Shantala will know, people are like very staunch. One is what we call Iyer Brahmin and the other one is Iyengar Brahmin. So the Iyers they worship Shiva, and Iyengars Vishnu. So there is a constant fight between them. My God is better and your God, and they both miss the point, right? Because they start thinking that Shiva is the God and Vishnu is nobody. And the other one says Vishnu is the God and Shiva is nobody. So therefore, that becomes problem. That's your imagination, right? So that means klishta and aklishta, imagination both. Did you understand? Swaminiji, is it clear? Okay. Now, nidra, sleep. Both. Why?
You need sleep.
Yes.
Have cover.
Yes.
And if you sleep too much, you tamas.
Excellent. Right? So it's very easy. You need some sleep. Without that, there is no just people struggle, they go crazy. Right? The mind doesn't stop. So that means it is aklishta. It is also klishta if you oversleep, as Yuta says. Smriti, memory.
Same.
Okay. Why?
Because if you remember, for example, this lesson,
Yes.
remember your bad childhood or whatever.
Superb, right? So that means today when I started the class, what did I make you do? Remember what you studied yesterday. Each sutra is not floating in the air. They are all used in a very systematic manner to make you see what Patanjali wants you to see. So therefore you have to take it all together and you have to build on what is being said, right? So that memory is what we call klishta or aklishta? Aklishta, right? It will help you. And klishta is what she says, now while I'm going through all of this, if I remember my bad childhood and I'm suffering and it's like, when will my suffering will go? Or because of this childhood, I'm so caught in my own framework, I'm in a rejection. So our teacher used to always say that, so many people struggle with this idea of, these are by the way points, please don't write down. He used to say that if you have struggled with your parents, right, because then that is an authority or somebody who you had full trust in, and they violated that trust by being violent or abusive or whatever, then you cannot have trust in Ishvara. Why? Because your mind creates the image of Ishvara as some big father. So then you can't trust. So what Swamiji used to say is, suppose I'm making you see that all that is here is Ishvara and your mind is not accepting it, even though I'm showing you, that means that there is some problem in your childhood with your father. You are stuck with that image. So therefore, what this smriti can create havoc in understanding. Right? Any teacher becomes a source of authority. So Swamiji used to always say that initially people all kind of, look up to me, oh, he has knowledge. Then suppose they had bad relationship with their parents, that person Swamiji used to say, remind them unconsciously of their parents. And they will project on me what they felt towards their parents. Hatred will come up. Everything will come up. Anger will come up. That is what we call memory, which is klishta, which will interfere with your learning.
Or memories from school, like teachers.
Yes, exactly. Strict teacher. It'll all interfere. It'll become klishta. Right? So memory itself is klishta and aklishta. So is this Yoga Sutra clear to you? What are we trying to say? We are not trying to do two different lists of klishta and aklishta. What is a very clever way is what the very thing can be either what? Klishta or aklishta. What is an intelligent living? Use all of this to your advantage to get to know that I am free. That is called intelligent living. Correct?
Yes.
Yes, wonderful. Okay, break time before we go to the next chapter. Purnamadav. 1 second. Prayer. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.